What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we're going to talk about how to build a strong local union. How do we do it? What's the key ingredient? How, oh how. But before we dive into that, I want to wish you and your family a very, very happy Thanksgiving. It's a time for family. It's a time for reflection. It's a time to give thanks for all of the blessings that we experience. And keep in mind that every day above ground is a blessing in itself. And so you've always got something to be grateful for. Me and my coworkers today, we're having a potluck. Everybody's bringing in a dish, and we're going to share a meal, and we'll share each other's friendship and brotherhood, and really have a day of camaraderie here at my job. Before we dive into this strong local thing, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, share these jonks, and drop some comments, make some suggestions, help a brother out, because I'd be running out of things to talk about. But not today. Nope, not today. So how do you build a strong local? How do you do it? How do you put that muscle in your local? It's easier than you might think. Much easier than you might think. It's one key ingredient, really. Just one. Empathy. It's a foreign concept, I know. But empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to feel someone else's pain. To put yourself in their shoes and feel their suffering as if it was your own suffering. We have got to begin to start looking at each other not as strangers, but as brothers and sisters. Seeing ourselves in our siblings. And understanding that an injury to one is an injury to all. And that's a cliche, I know, but there are universal truths and cliches that we have to embrace. You'll find no other spot where this society's me attitude is more prevalent than in traffic. You ever been in traffic? I'm sure you have. You drive these roads. You got to know what traffic looks like. You ever realize how many jerks you encounter when you're in traffic? You really think those people are jerks in their day-to-day lives? Or are they just jerks when they're in traffic and they feel like they're going to cut people off and try to get to where they're going because they're going to beat the problem? But the problem is congestion. There's nothing you can do about it. And we're all stuck in the same mess. And we're all going to get there when we get there, because this mess affects all the drivers around us. They won't let folks merge. They're not leaving gaps to let people change lanes as they need to. Everybody's just thinking about themselves. And I can't tell you how upsetting being in traffic can be. It's infuriating, because you look around and you're like, you know, if we were just thinking about each other instead of hyper-focused on ourselves, we would probably not be in this terrible of traffic. We would probably flow a little bit easier. Empathy, key ingredient. You know, most of our problems on jobs, most of our problems in our local unions, when you're talking about abusive bosses, when you're talking about poor conditions, when you're talking about breaking down conditions and breaking down conditions in regards to the contract, most of these issues center around members who elevate themselves above the general membership, who think of themselves as better than those around them. They fail to comprehend what it is to be in a union. They fail to see what it is. What is it to be in a union? I have no idea. I'm here for a paycheck. Can't see it from my house. I'm here to elevate my status, get as much money as I can, and get out. I could care less about anybody around me. It's a prevalent attitude. It's a terrible attitude. And it's one that deteriorates the strength of a union. I don't blame NECA contractors for how well they do. Whether it's with regards to negotiations, whether it's with regards to profitability, I don't blame them. Their businesses It makes sense. That's what they're trying to do, is get profits, pay as little as they can so that they can reap the rewards. I don't blame them for that. What I do blame is the members who perform fellatio in order to elevate their status and get to a position of authority so that they can lord over folks because their ego takes over. In a union, there's no room for ego. Ego belongs in the outside professional world where there is no collectivism. In a union, it is a collective bargaining unit. There's no room for ego. There's no room for you to hoard your skill set and not teach your apprentice. There's no room to allow for folks to break down conditions. Not in a union. Do that in the non-union section. Get out of my union. Go do it on your own. Start your own business. Run it how you want and see how well you do. But don't come into my union and treat it as if it's your personal piggy bank. It's not. We built this. We did this. You didn't do jack. So we got to get away from this me attitude. Now, in a union, we have such beautiful structures that help us really navigate and control how the work life is and how your life in your union is. You have your constitution, which is your guard against, not a guard against, but it's your structure for your local union, for your international union. It gives you your guidelines for charging members who break down the union contract and all that other good stuff. It gives you all of the structures you need on how to manage a meeting with an overbearing president who doesn't want anything good to happen through his eyes because he has his own perspective. And so he may not be able to see what the membership is trying to do and be against it or opposed. But there are mechanisms in that Constitution that allow us to navigate this thing and work together collaboratively. Your inside wireman agreement, your R worker agreement, or your CECW agreement. These govern how your work goes. It governs your conditions at work, the hours you're supposed to work, your pay rate, your differential rate for when you're working nights and whatnot. There's a structure there in place. Your bylaws are pertaining strictly to your local union. There are structures in place. But the key ingredient, brothers and sisters, is empathy. You got to learn to see me as your brother instead of two distant strangers. Every time I see a union hand outside of any job site, hey brother, hey sister, hey sibling, it's good to see you. Strangers that you never met before, hey, nice to see you. Where are you working at? Yeah, spark up a whole conversation. Empathy is the key to building a strong local union. And if you have enough strong local unions, you have a strong union and a strong labor movement. But it takes empathy. It takes empathy, and it takes us policing our own. We have to hold each other accountable. So when you have a overbearing foreman who's doing the wrong crap and abusing their authority, it is on us to check that wannabe tyrant and bring them back down to earth and amongst the collective. When you have a contractor who is abusing and breaking down conditions, it is on us to go ahead and file those grievances and make the contractor abide by the contract. When you have a shop steward and that shop steward is not able to perform their duty because they're neutered on a job, it is on us to empower them. There are mechanisms for all of that. So read your contract, read your constitution, read your bylaws, learn them, understand them, and apply them with empathy and love. And that's how you build a strong labor union. And we on our way. My name's Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember, the fight isn't left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one, get out there and reach one. And remember, there could be no union without you and I, front and center. Peace.